What's going on, YouTube? This is Ricky J. Welcome to this video. And I'm very excited to do this video. I don't usually do videos like this where I'm just going to kick back and give you guys my honest thoughts about Undisputed Boxing's beta and things that I feel need to improve on the game to make it special, brother. And I just want to say, man, huge shout out to Steel City Interactive for giving me the opportunity to play the game and for giving me all the codes to give to my viewers and friends, man. I really, really appreciate it. So, just to kick things off, I played it. I was fortunate to play it for three-hour sessions, okay? And living up in Canada, the servers were great, and I felt bad for some of my friends in the States that had some problems. But for me, the servers were working pretty good. A lot of disconnects, though, on my matches, I have to say, so I hope they can clear that up. But they were just, doing that stress test, trying to test the servers, and I'm sure they're going to work on those kinks to make the servers more stable. Now, when I was playing it, I had a blast. I really did have a blast. But I went in there playing the game just with an open mind, kind of positive vibes, going in there having fun, just trying a new game. The build-up was so long to finally get my hands on playing it. It was just so fun. And, you know, it's just, I couldn't believe it was here, man. It was here in front of me, and I had a great time playing. Now, as far as the improvements are concerned, I noticed right away, and I don't know if you guys saw my first video, that the damage on the punches need to be improved. And they were actually improving they were like increasing the sliders on the damage on the punches throughout the 3 days, but I felt like they still need to do some work on that. So for example, when your opponent's stamina was low and you hit them with a nicely timed shot, your opponent wasn't getting rocked or dropped. I really feel like having that fear going into a video game fight, yeah, even in real life you have that fear, but in a video game fight, having that fear when you grab that controller of potentially getting knocked out is the greatest feeling to have, because you gotta fight smart or else you're gonna get knocked out. In this game, it didn't have it, man. It didn't have it. And after a while, I was testing out the whole damage kind of mechanic, I should say, and I was going crazy, throwing wild punches, and I wasn't getting dropped at all. So they really need to increase that, because, like I said, having that fear of getting humiliated in a combat sports game is a feeling that you need to have, especially in a boxing game, because then you got to make sure your defense is on point, make sure you're sticking to your game plan, because you're going to get embarrassed. So I didn't feel like I had that fear, all right? Also, the punches that you land that are nicely timed, you should be rewarded for it. And it doesn't always have to be a big bomb. So I noticed a lot of people, when they were trying to knock out their opponents, they were throwing those big power shots. In real life, if your opponent is hurt, all you got to do is just touch them with, just regular shots, and they're going to go down. And even sometimes you can catch your opponent with a punch that you don't really feel like was a knockout blow, but if it's timed properly and placed in the right spot, you should be rewarded. In this game, that didn't happen. Also, I wanted to say that with the lack of damage, my strategy of kind of being elusive and counter-punching, getting my opponent's stamina to go down, I tried doing that throughout the course of playing this game. I tried to get my opponent's stamina to go way down, and I said to myself, you know what? Later on in the last 3 rounds, I'm going to get payback. I may be down in the cards, but I'm going to get some payback. And when those rounds came, I landed great shots. Even when my opponent's stamina was at nothing, I was landing some pretty amazing counter shots, and my opponent was still standing. Now, fast forwarding to the end of those matches, I ended up losing by decision in most cases because I just couldn't stop my opponent. Even though I had a tremendous stamina advantage and I was placing my punches properly or timing them properly, I wasn't getting rewarded for that. So well-timed shots need to be in there to reward the user and hopefully get a rock and a drop. Let me know if you agree with that. Now, also, I wanted to tell you guys that I hope there is some sort of system where they can implement where there's some kind of like head health system where there's a short term head health and a long term. Because if you land big shots in a fight, it should be something that is kind of like a deposit, you know, where if you land those big shots, it's going to help you later on in the fight. I always think of the fight in MMA between Anderson the Spider Silva and Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin was tagged with big shots in the beginning of the match, okay? And then later on in the fight, it was almost like Anderson Silva hit him with like a fall away jab or a fade away. I think it was a straight or a jab, but it was not even something that he was looking to load up on and to hit him. But all those punches previously really did damage on Forrest Griffin's head health. And all he needed was one little punch and he knocked him out. So I really feel like in the game, if they could add some kind of, I don't know, some kind of mechanic where you have short-term head health and long-term head health, where if you get hit with a lot of bombs early in the fight, you know, that's going to affect you later on in the match if it goes that long. Let me know if you agree with that. So yeah, that's the one thing I really wanted to talk about. What else? The punching animations is another thing that I was really kind of looking at after every session. I would go back and watch my footage, and then I'm like, there's something going on with the punching animations. I've always said that there needs to be more pop or snap on the punches. I still feel the same because, man, I just feel like when you're throwing the punches, they don't have the ill intentions that you would see when you're watching a boxing match on TV. Because I don't know if you've ever punched somebody. I'm not going to get into my history, brother. But when you punch somebody, you want to follow through to like go through your target. You know what I mean? But if I'm using my punching bag in my garage, I'm just going to touch it. You know, I'm going to touch it and move around. And I felt like when I was playing this game, the fighters were kind of like hitting the punching bag. They weren't trying to throw those punches to like really hurt their opponent. And that's where I feel like the animations need to be improved. There has to be that snap where you just want to take your opponent's head off, or you want to like drive your body shots right through your opponent, your opponent's torso. I felt like it was more like tap, tap, tap. It was almost like when Conor McGregor faced Floyd Mayweather in that first round, man. And even throughout the course of the fight, I'm like, where's the power behind McGregor's punches? I guess he was trying to pace himself, but in this game, there needs to be that really vicious animation when you're throwing your punches that you're really trying to hurt your opponent and that you're in a real fight. I feel like that needs to be improved. As far as damage on the faces, the face swelling, I don't really feel like it was there. I want to see guys getting busted up. You know, if somebody's going to be crazy standing in that phone booth throwing crazy haymakers, I want to see that head swell up. Like, you know, people hate when I talk about fight night. I guess you don't hate it, but I got to talk about it anyway. But in fight night, if you ever do like a bare knuckle match and you just stand there throwing punches, in between rounds, you will see your face swell up so much that your fighter can't even open his eyes, man. So they really need to get into the fine details of face swelling and bleeding. We did see some cuts. Like one fight that I had, I actually lost via cut. So that was really cool. But I want to see more detail on the faces. Now, I'm just trying to think of anything else. And again, this is all in one take. Let me think here. I want to see also like one punch knockouts. Again, I've kind of said this before, but if you can time your punch, especially if your opponent is fighting like a lunatic or just not placing their punches properly, you should be able to, you know, drop your opponent or hurt your opponent with one time punch. It shouldn't be like a large accumulation of punches. It should be quality over quantity. I felt like when I was playing these guys online, the judges were rewarding you with the amount of output you were throwing. And it's got to be about quality of punches, in my opinion, and punches that are actually going to hurt your opponent. It's all about the damage. Now, speaking about punches, man, I just felt like sometimes the range or the tracking of the punches seemed off. Like the lead left hook sometimes would do a go-go gadget arm action. Like you would feel like you're out of range. You would throw that punch and it would land. And then as far as the right hook, sometimes I felt like I was in range and then my fighter would kind of short arm it. So I feel like, I don't know, sometimes the tracking was off. Like a punch that I thought was going to land didn't land. Like I said, a punch that I thought would not land would land, especially the lead left hook. Also, at times when I would throw combos, I don't know if I'm just terrible at the game, but I would input the combos and they wouldn't come out. And I would clearly input it using the buttons and they wouldn't come out like I would want it to, if that makes any sense at all. There would be like a delay, like some of my punches wouldn't come out. So hopefully they'll clear that up. I really wish I had more time to kind of perfect my combos because I was having some tough times throwing combos. But I don't know, man. All in all, I'm really confident that this game is going to get improved. Remember, it's just the beta. It's not the final product. I always think about when EA Sports UFC 3's beta came out. We had an opportunity, well, if you guys remember, it was like 3 years ago. It was an open beta just like this. And the game was terrible, brother. It was like fighters were on hockey skates. They were sliding around the octagon. There was all sorts of issues with the game. And then when the final product came out, it was a lot better. It was totally different. And then throughout the course of that game's existence, it ended up becoming the best MMA game I felt in the EA series ever. It was realistic. You know, the esports scene was running wild with the ESFL, and it was exciting to watch because the game was just something that turned from being having a lot of issues to being something that we all appreciated and loved. So EA Sports UFC 3, think about that. If you remember, the beta of UFC 3 was real bad, man, and then the game ended up becoming amazing. So I really feel with this game, it's already at a better state than EA Sports UFC 3 beta was. Now they just need to make the proper corrections to make the game realistic and to make the game fun to play. I feel like that element needs to be, there has to be a balance. It's got to be realistic and fun to play. For me, the fun factor increases when you have that fear of getting knocked out and embarrassed, because then you're going to be on your toes, brother, when you're fighting. And right now, the game doesn't have that. So hopefully if they can add that fear, reward that fighter that's going to fight technical, reward that fighter that's going to be just sticking to a game plan that is realistic and that is boxing, not just going rock'em sock'em robots. I hope that they don't reward the people that just go throwing wild haymakers. I want them to reward the player that is fighting tactically, that's fighting using great boxing strategies. And if that person fights a guy that is a casual, kind of just button mashing his way, that casual should be knocked out immediately, and that casual shouldn't be getting the decision, if you know what I mean. So let me know if you agree with that, but I'll leave it at that. I've been talking way too much. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. And man, I am very optimistic that these changes are going to be made, and I cannot wait to see what's going to happen now moving forward. I hope they can do this again where we're able to try the game. Maybe I hope they can let us like dip into the career mode, just the beginning. If we could try the career mode just to see that aspect of the game or that side of the game. Because for me personally, I'm not much of a online competitive player. I love the career mode. If you've been following me on this channel, I love like Fight Nights, that story mode with Andre Bishop. I love the legacy mode. offline. So I'm hoping they can give us a taste of the career mode. That to me will make me so excited. But anyways, guys, can't wait to hear your thoughts on this one. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. This is Ricky J, man. Love you guys. Take care.